Have you ever received a phone call from something that isn't human? What if that voice knew your name, your location, even your thoughts? This is the real, terrifying story of Gary Sudbrink and the mysterious phone calls that still haunt the internet.
Before we continue, let me introduce myself. I'm Riyadi. Don't forget to subscribe because every week I'll be uploading 1, 2, or even 3 terrifying and bizarre true stories. Turn on notifications so you don't miss out, and share this video to help more people stay alert in any situation. Get cozy, grab a warm seat, and don't forget your coffee and favorite snacks. If you're ready, let's dive into this chilling true story for today's episode.
In 1993, Gary Sudbrink was a U.S. Air Force officer stationed in Texas. He was well-educated, mentally sound, and had no history of hallucinations or strange beliefs. During one of his brief visits home to New York to see his parents, something bizarre happened. Gary had always been rational and calm, a man of science and structure. His family and friends described him as honest and logical. He was not the type of person to make up stories, especially not the kind that would soon leave everyone speechless. It started the night after he arrived in New York. Gary received a series of extremely bizarre phone calls. The caller had a metallic, robotic voice that mispronounced words as if it was trying to sound human, but clearly wasn't. Even more disturbing, the caller seemed to know intimate details about Gary's life, including things he had never told anyone but his closest family. The calls came repeatedly, and every time he picked up, it was as if something was studying him. Gary began recording the phone calls after the second night. In the recordings, a distorted voice can be heard saying phrases like, "Gary Sudbrink, it is important. You must leave now. They are watching you." The voice sometimes laughed eerily or repeated the same phrase multiple times. Gary, confused and disturbed, called the phone company, only to be told that no such calls were traceable. Even more bizarre, one call seemed to come from his own Air Force base in Texas, even though he was hundreds of miles away. His father also heard the calls and confirmed their creepy tone. At one point, a caller warned him by name, mid-conversation, to stop recording, despite the line supposedly being private. Gary brought the recordings to both military officials and paranormal researchers. The military dismissed the event as a prank or psychological episode, though no evidence of tampering or mental illness was found. Paranormal investigators, however, took great interest. Some speculated it was alien contact or government surveillance, especially due to the robotic voice and untraceable origins. One expert in signal intelligence tried decoding the pauses and tones in the recordings and found patterns similar to encrypted data transmissions. But even after all this, there were no answers. The case baffled everyone. No one could explain how the caller knew so much. Eventually, the calls stopped just as mysteriously as they began. Gary returned to his base in Texas, but he never got a real explanation. He released the recordings publicly, and they can still be found online today. Many still debate their authenticity, but Gary never tried to monetize the story, and to this day, he stands by what happened. The case became an unsolved digital age mystery, chilling and surreal. Was it a hoax, a secret experiment, or something not of this world? No one knows, but once you hear the recordings, it's hard to forget the voice that whispered, "Gary, they know you're listening." In 1922, the Hinterkaifeck farm in Germany was home to the Gruber family. Andreas Gruber, his wife Chilia, their daughter Victoria, and Victoria's children, Chilia and Joseph. The family lived in isolation on a remote farm located in the Bavarian countryside, with no neighbors for miles. Despite the seclusion, neighbors occasionally visited the farm, and the family was known to be well-liked. However, in the weeks leading up to the crime, strange occurrences started happening. Andreas Gruber reported hearing footsteps in the attic, and he found strange footprints in the snow leading to the farm, but none leading away. He even mentioned the strange sounds to his neighbors, but they dismissed his concerns as paranoia. Little did they know, these events would be the prelude to one of the most horrific crimes in German history. On the night of March 31st, 1922, a terrible crime occurred at the Hinterkaifeck farm. In a brutal and shocking act, Andreas, his wife Chilia, daughter Victoria, and her children were murdered inside their home. The murderer used a heavy farming tool, likely a pickaxe, to kill the family members one by one in their sleep. The killer then carefully concealed the bodies, stacking them in a way that would make discovery difficult. The farm animals were also killed, and the killer stayed at the farm for several days after the murders, using the family's food and firewood. Neighbors reported that the farm had been strangely silent, with no sign of life. But it wasn't until April 4th that a maid sent to clean the house found the gruesome scene and alerted the authorities. The police investigation revealed several eerie and puzzling details. For one, the killer had been at the farm for several days after the murders, eating the family's food, milking the cows, and even caring for the animals. It seemed as though the killer was familiar with the farm's layout and daily routine. The killer had also gone into the barn and appeared to sleep there at night, as evidenced by footprints found near the animals. No signs of forced entry were found, and there was no obvious motive for the murders. Some people speculated that it was a family member who committed the crime, perhaps Victoria's son, but no solid evidence was ever found. The case grew cold, and the mystery surrounding the Hinterkaifeck murders remains unsolved to this day. Despite extensive investigations, including questioning local residents and examining the evidence, the authorities could not come up with any solid leads. Several theories were proposed, including the idea that the murders were connected to a possible inheritance dispute, or that someone with knowledge of the farm had planned the attack. However, none of the theories were able to explain the strange behavior of the killer, such as staying on the farm for days after the crime. Over the years, a variety of suspects were considered, including a former farmhand, a mysterious stranger seen near the farm, and even a police officer, but none were ever charged. The case went cold, and the true identity of the killer remains a haunting mystery. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain one of the most unsettling and mysterious crimes in history. While various theories have been put forward over the years, the truth behind the murders has never been revealed. The eerie nature of the crime, coupled with the fact that the killer lived on the farm for several days afterward, continues to fascinate and terrify those who study the case. The identities of the victims, the chilling details of their deaths, and the haunting silence of the farm after the crime create a story that has never been fully understood, leaving behind a legacy of fear and mystery. On a warm summer morning in 1948, a man was found dead on Somerton Beach, Adelaide, Australia. He wore a perfectly pressed suit, polished shoes, and had a half-smoked cigarette on his collar. He had no wallet, no ID, and all tags were cut from his clothes. This unknown man, later nicknamed the Somerton Man, had no fingerprints in any database, and no one ever came forward to claim his body. For investigators, he was a ghost in plain sight. Healthy, clean-shaven, and well-dressed, yet his presence was an enigma. The mystery deepened when a tiny rolled-up piece of paper was found hidden in the man's hidden watch pocket. It simply read, "Tam shud," a Persian phrase meaning ended or finished. This led investigators to a copy of a rare book of poetry, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, found in a stranger's car parked near the crime scene. The book contained a strange code scrawled in the back and a phone number that led to a woman named Jestin, who, upon seeing the man's bust, almost fainted. She claimed not to know him, but refused to speak further. The man had no visible injuries, and the autopsy revealed no signs of poisoning, despite suspicions of a rare, untraceable substance. His organs were congested, his spleen enlarged, and his last meal, a pasty, offered no clues. No one in the hotel where he allegedly stayed remembered seeing him. Witnesses claim they saw a man matching his description lying motionless on the beach the night before, but no one thought to approach. He simply died in public view, as if erased from existence. The coded note, the anonymous book, the refusal of Justin to talk, all painted a canvas of calculated silence. Investigators worked for decades. The secret code in the book was passed to military cryptographers, but no decipherable meaning emerged. Public theories ranged from Cold War espionage, a failed romance, to an elite assassin's final act. Justin, the mysterious woman, died in 2007, taking her secrets to the grave. Her son, years later, was found to have a striking resemblance to the Somerton man, fueling rumors of a hidden relationship. Still, with no fingerprints, DNA, or witnesses, the Somerton man remained frozen in time. In 2022, over 70 years later, a team of forensic experts and genealogists claimed to have identified the Somerton man as Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne who vanished around the same time. Yet, even with the name, many questions linger. Why was he in Adelaide? What caused his death? Who is Justin to him? The mystery, while partially answered, still breathes. His body now lies with a name, but his story remains a haunting echo of a man who died with secrets etched in code, silence, and sand.